Hey, so you have to bear with me. I'm having some coffee, about to head to work, so this is kind of a pre-work quickie. Hey. All right. Anyways, where did we leave off? All right. All right. So Sarah got upset and fell asleep and everything because she was sad. All right. Anyways, continue. Sarah fidgeted in her seat. In a few minutes she would meet her first suitor. She did not feel the wave of exhilaration, either of fear or excitement, she had expected to feel. Of course, she should have known better than to think she would share emotions with the girls in the love stories, who she differed from in so many other ways. No, Sarah was far from nervous or excited. In fact, she was really rather irritable. The past couple of weeks had given Sarah a glimpse of what hell must surely be like, with Delia eagerly playing the role of the devil. Delia firmly believed that one day of moping was all Sarah needed to adjust to her father's plan. The bucket of water she had tossed on Sarah's head in the morning after receiving the letter should have tipped Sarah off. Yeah, she's a brat. Oops, went too far. Sarah shrieked as icy water wrenched her from her dreams. Pushing hair out of her eyes, Sarah found herself looking up at Delia holding a highly incriminating, slightly damp bucket. What was that for? Delia shrugged. Well, I had to wake you up somehow. Sometimes Delia's logic astounded Sarah. You couldn't have just called my name like a normal person? Delia laughed. Sarah, you and I both know merely calling your name would not have gotten you up. Icy cold water, on the other hand, now that will get anyone moving. She looked down at Sarah critically. You may want to go and change your clothes. It wouldn't do for you to catch a cold. And hurry up about it. We have a lot to do today. Sarah glared at Delia's retreating back. She may not have much experience with court life, but she was certain that this was not how a lady-in-waiting was supposed to act. A sense of foreboding filled her as she changed her clothes and prepared for the day. Sarah was certain she would not like whatever it was Delia had in mind for her. She was right. When she finally made her way to the breakfast room, she was shocked by what she saw. Instead of the mere bowl of cereal and spoon placed by the two chairs, there was an overabundance of sterling silverware and porcelain strategically placed at each setting. Delia was seated at her own chair as if nothing was out of the norm. What is this? Sarah demanded, puzzled at the sight before her. Well, it's breakfast, of course. Delia hardly spared Sarah a glance. I know that, Sarah snapped. Really, Delia would have to learn some manners. But is it necessary to bring out the fine dishes? Where are our old dishes? Delia shifted in her seat. Never a good sign. Yeah, about that. I figured we should get used to using the more formal silverware so we're ready when we're called to court. Sarah nodded her head. Learning the proper way to use silverware was understandable, no matter how mundane the task of learning it would be. And side note, it's really not that hard. You just kind of start from the outside and work the way in. But all right, the last thing she wanted to do was look like a barbarian at one of the feasts. Sarah sat down at the table and looked up at Delia expectantly. If she was going to learn how to do this, she would definitely need Delia's help. That's when she noticed Delia was still fidgeting. This was definitely not good. Did you want to add something, Delia? Sarah may as well get the rest of Delia's news over with. Well, yes, I did. Another letter came from the palace yesterday, one addressed to me. Delia hesitated a moment before continuing. It seems your mother is concerned that you may be lacking some of the finer qualities expected in a lady. She made it my duty to ensure that you're prepared for court life when you arrive with your future husband. Sarah's blood turned cold. You mean my mother wants me to be finished? Delia nodded. But that means embroidery, and drawing, and music, and dancing. Sarah winced at Delia's last words. She would prefer being doused by another dozen buckets of icy water than to what lay ahead of her for the next few days. If Delia had shown fear while delivering the news of Sarah's training, it had evaporated after the words left her mouth. The next few days, Sarah's friend turned from lady-in-waiting to slave driver. Sarah understood that she needed to learn these skills if she was going to conform to the court's image of what a proper princess should be. Although, curse aside, she did not think there was anything wrong with her to begin with. But Delia seemed to take a sadistic pleasure in watching Sarah struggle with her lessons. She could deny it all she wanted, but Sarah knew Delia was having a bit too much fun overseeing Sarah's progression, or lack thereof. She had seen Delia stifle a smile as Sarah attempted a scale with Delia on the piano, and bemused grins while inspecting her botched embroidery. Her commentary on Sarah's portrayal of a sunset, though seemingly kind, was laced with sarcasm. Sarah could have taken all of this. Years of dealing with Delia had toughened her to Delia's sense of humor, often at Sarah's expense. But Delia's idea of dancing lessons went too far. Sarah did not understand how dancing with an old broom could be at all comparable to waltzing with dignitaries at court. Delia apparently found the scenario ridiculous too. After Sarah's fourth attempt at learning the waltz, Delia could not hold in her laughter anymore. Sarah would not be mocked. She threw the broom to the ground in frustration. "This is ridiculous, Delia. How on earth is this productive at all? You and I both know I can't dance." Delia took a deep breath and managed a straight face. "But Sarah, you have to learn how to dance. After the curse is broken, there are bound to be several balls in your honor. It wouldn't do for you not to know how to dance." Sarah took a deep breath. She knew Delia was right. She also knew she was bound to be the source of court gossip. In fact, oh my gosh, I cannot speak. In fact, she suspected she already was. She would be damned if she gave them another thing to talk about, even if it meant she must learn how to dance. "Fine, you're right. I know you're right. But why does it have to be a broom?" Sarah could see the internal struggle Delia was fighting not to burst into laughter again. "Well, you have to learn somehow, Sarah. I obviously can't be your partner, Curse and all, and dancing with air just seems silly." There was silence in the room. They both knew Sarah would look much less ridiculous dancing with air than with the musty old broom Delia had pulled out of the supply closet. "Besides, you and the broom make such a fetching couple." She just couldn't resist. See if I have time for more. I'll do a little bit more. The next couple weeks went in much the same fashion. Eventually, Sarah's stitches became neater, her vocals more in tune, and her drawings recognizable. Her dancing was a different story, but who could blame her when her only dancing partner was a musty old broom? Or at least that's how Sarah saw it. There was another aspect to Sarah's preparation for her suitors than Delia's torture sessions. Sarah had received another set of letters from court, this time penned by her mother. In these letters, Sarah had received details on the men her father had sent, as well as basic womanly advice on how to interact with the rougher sex. Some of her mother's warnings about the ways of men made Sarah blush. Her mother's advice was truly unnecessary, even if Sarah had been that kind of woman, which she certainly was not. Sarah's physical interaction with the opposite sex was severely limited by the curse. Unfortunately, Delia had also seen the Queen's letters and had felt it necessary to expand upon the Queen's advice. And expand she did. Between lessons and advice on flirting, it seemed Delia talked from dawn until dusk. At nightfall, Sarah would excuse herself early by pleading exhaustion, which wasn't completely untrue. Sarah was exhausted. However, instead of heading to bed, Sarah retreated to the library. There she pored over the ancient text. As doubtful as she was about the suitors her father was sending, she couldn't deny that it was the closest she had ever been to breaking the curse. And now we're going to stop because we're going on to the suitors, and that is going to take a little bit longer. And yeah, like I said, I work. Yay! Anyways, I hope you're having a good day at work, and I hope this makes you happy when you get done. And I am like sending you wafts of my amazing pumpkin spice coffee right now, so you can just imagine it. It's really good. Yeah, I'll see you later.